Hey, Janice.
Hi, Anthony.
Today, let's go over what if witnesses to the will cannot be found. So, in the past, we've talked about mistakes when choosing the witnesses to your will and kind of what'll happen if you choose the wrong witnesses. And now we're going to cover what actually happens if you can't track down a witness during the probate process and kind of some real world type scenarios. All right. All right. All right. So, what happens when the witness can't be found? And what does that mean exactly? It can mean a couple different things. Kind of the most obvious one is if the witness has also passed away. You just can't
Right.
can't
Gone.
serve.
Yeah, right.
Can't testify, excuse me. Then you have the situation where they've either left the state or the country. In this day and age, that's not as big of a problem, but it can lead to just complications and just headaches, right? I mean, in this day and age, you should be able to track somebody down by email or what have you. But
Sure. But leaving the country might be a little more complicated.
right, for
Yeah.
sure. And then the last thing, and this happens, the witness just won't cooperate. Like, all they thought they were doing was helping out a nice old lady sign their will, and now you're calling them from a law office and asking them to do this and that, and there's, I can't be bothered by this, delete or
Yeah.
spam or whatever.
No, thank you. Yeah, yeah.
So-
Ignore.
Yeah, so I mean, it happens, and let's talk now about what happens when one of those scenarios comes into play. Okay, so what do we do as probate attorneys and executors? What do we do when a will or when a witness to a will cannot be found or is just unavailable? All right, so number one, if we can't find them just because we don't know where they are, then we have to hire a private investigator to track them down. I mean, we try first. We know how to use Google.
Oh, yeah.
Google.
Yep.
We know how to type somebody's name into Google and Facebook. We try the basics. But
Yeah, we definitely do our preliminary searching in house with
for sure. But professional private investigators have access to tools that laymen do not have. They have access to databases and search tools that just simply we don't. So they can find last known addresses and contact information and pretty much verify who's who. And you also have to do that to prove to the court that you have taken a certain minimum amount of effort to track this person down. Oh, and the PI can also confirm if the person's dead.
Yep. But then you could say to the court, hey, we tried. We've gone through all of these steps, including a professional, and we still got nothing.
Another solution another step you might want to take when you can't track down the witness or the witness is not available for whatever reason is if it was prepared by an attorney, ask the attorney to serve as a second witness or as an additional witness because they were there, assuming they were there to supervise the signing. It's almost like having a backup witness in place, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, once you put all this together, you kind of have to ask the court, hey, can we get this done with only one witness or even no official witnesses based on what we've shown you? And then it's, anytime you're doing things in the court or asking the court to make a decision, that's cost and time and expense. And these are all the things that we're trying to help you avoid by, when we advise you how to use proper witnesses. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. It's not only expensive, but you're at their mercy, even though you've given them now everything you've done to find the witnesses, talk to people, professionally find them, and you've got nothing. They still can decide that's not enough.
Right on. So let's talk now about how to avoid missing witnesses. So number one, you should always do a self-proving will. I don't want to get into a whole thing about that right now, but that's when you prepare your will and attach to it a separate affidavit that your witnesses also sign and notarize that says that, we witnessed this, essentially.
Yeah. It's like an extra witness to the witnessing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
The notary is witnessing that the witness is witnessing.
Yes, exactly.
But so that's great, and most competent attorneys will make sure to do that for you. But it's not ironclad because if there's any hint of a will contest, then the self-proving affidavit is not good enough, and the court will still call the witnesses into court. Okay. So this is why you kind of want professional witnesses. I don't mean like. There's nobody who goes to school to be a witness or anything like that.
Right.
That's not what I mean by
Not
professional
like a
witness.
degree okay.
But other attorneys, paralegals, people who do this regularly, number one, they know what to look for and they know how to testify later if needed as a witness to a will. And number two, they're generally more available. They know what they're getting themselves into. They're easier to track down. If it's the paralegals with the attorney who did your will, he's gonna know roughly where they are, if they've passed, right? So it's much easier to track them down. So this is in contrast to what we see all the time, where you just grab the first nurse that walks past your room in the hospital. Hey, be a witness to my will. You don't even know this person's name or how to track them down in the future.
Right.
You ask the doorman for your building. I mean, at least you'll know who this is and where to, but they don't often make the best witnesses. But the worst is when you're like at the bank or at a bodega to get to get your thing notarized, and you're just literally grabbing somebody off the street. Or
that poor person has no idea, and at 20 years from now, he's going to be tracked down, trying to find out who he is. And which, again, that leads back to what you were just saying, hiring a PI, trying to find out who this guy was you grabbed at the train station. Yeah.
Or the UPS delivery guy. We've seen that before.
Yes. Yep.
Oh my goodness. Just shenanigans. It's so hard to deal with these things later with, where, it really only takes a minimal effort to resolve this in the beginning. And so last sort of a tip on how to avoid this type of problem. New York, for example, requires 2 witnesses. So instead of having exactly 2 witnesses to your will, have 3. Redundancy, have a backup plan, right?
Oh, okay.
So that if one passes away, is hard to find, is uncooperative, has moved, then you can at least have 2. And that'll hopefully help deal with that issue.
So a backup to the backup. Okay. All right. Yeah, backup. But this is why, we've talked before, you want your signing to be supervised by an attorney, right?
Absolutely.
Or in a professional, so they can say, no, we're not just going to grab the nurse or the cleaning person walking by the door, that you're going to have a hard time finding later and cost your estate, so much money.
And time.
In time, definitely. So definitely recommend. There's a link, should be down in the comments, or check out Anthony's website for a free copy of his book, The Solo Ager Estate Plan. Has some more information about picking this, especially if you don't have, a plan now. It'll help you out.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of these episodes we do, we're pretty much talking about things that we wish our clients had done so that probate would be easier. And it's just like, we're charging you. I mean, we are, a for-profit law firm. We're charging the estate like all this money for things that could have easily been avoided, So,
yeah. Yep. I mean, we've dealt with this one before, and it's taking months to, the runaround with the witnesses, and that just adds more money, which is a shame.
Yep. Oh, well. All right. Well, hopefully we helped you avoid this problem.
Yeah.
Thanks all for listening. Thank you, Janice, and we'll talk next time.
We'll talk soon.
Bye now.